UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. Welcome to a very interesting presentation on what law enforcement does if they get a report about UFOs. And we'll get into that. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. The science is in. A clinical trial found that just 10 grams of collagen a day for 8 weeks led to a roughly 20% increase in skin hydration and a 17% improvement in elasticity, while also visibly reducing wrinkle depth. If you want to help improve your skin health, it's clear that collagen is essential. Folks, I use the secret magical powder, and I love the results. Multi-collagen provides my skin with 5 types of premium collagen to help attack wrinkles from every angle. I'm seeing smoother skin, more elasticity, fewer fine lines, and a more youthful glow. Plus, multi-collagen mixes smoothly with my morning coffee or tea. There's no clumping and zero added flavor. Do yourself a big favor and grab yourself a bag of ageless multi-collagen now for 51% off only at healthwithla.com. That's healthwithla.com. Plus, by ordering today, you'll also receive free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, a free ebook entitled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, and a 60-day satisfaction guarantee. And of course, free shipping with your order. Folks, it's a great deal. Check it out. It takes about a month before you see the results, but I see the results and I take it every day. Thanks. Folks, some of you want to join and the members, and we ask that you would do so. You can only do it when you go on a laptop and look at your my YouTube channel, and you'll see the subscribe button. Right next to the subscribe button is another button called join. When you hit that, it will take you can fill it out, become a member. $9.99 a month gives you our magazine, 10% off of everything in the store, and so much more. And you get to help us do what we do here 7 days a week. Before I get into the UFO topic today, I want to have you take a look at this. John, the website is there. Please put it down. You can see it for yourself, folks. We're really trying to push this. This is July 27th. It's coming up. I will be watching it. It's a streamed event. It's in Italian or in English. Obviously, we'll be looking at it in English from here. And it's just going to be great. The scientists Filippo Biondi and Corrado Malanga, I've interviewed both of these men several times on the show, and we're pushing this again because I think it's that important. If this holds true, it rewrites everything and history as we know it. And you can see right there's my little model that Sean C. Green, our webmaster, made. So check that out, and I would pray that you would sign up and be part of that presentation. It is groundbreaking. If it holds, and I believe it will, now that's conjecture on my part, but if it holds, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. And the reason why we're getting out in front of this, and the reason why I'm asking you to sign up so you can see it for yourself, see the data, look at the whole presentation, and come to your own conclusions. The New Agers will say, if this holds true, aha, see, we were visited by ancient aliens. We're saying this is Nephilim architecture, fallen angel technology. There's the link. Check it out. Thank you ahead of time. So this was sent to me by Pastor Neil and Pastor Michelle Bell. I spoke at their church last year, I believe, and it was great. I consider them friends and of the show and just great, a great brother and sister in the Lord. So this is a reference guide. Unidentified anomalous phenomena. This is just great. And you can see this is from, we don't have time to get into the whole thing, but this is what police are trained to do if they have an encounter. So let me ask you this. Why would a police force in any given city spend the time creating, I'll just give you an example of what we're looking at here, right? So why would they be doing this? Why would they create this incredible reference guide to the whole phenomena if it was all conspiracy theory, if Roswell was nothing but a weather balloon, and there's nothing to see here, keep moving? Why would they do that? Hello? They wouldn't. Unless there's smoke. And where there's smoke, there's fire. The phenomenon is real, is burgeoning, and not going away. Okay, so they give you the definition of a UAP. Means airborne objects that are not immediately identifiable, transmediate objects or devices, and submerged objects or devices that are not immediately identifiable and that display behavior or performance characteristics suggesting the object or devices may be related to the object or devices described in subcategories. So that's just, legalese here. Okay, it's 11 pages. We don't have time to get into everything, but we can delve into some of it. UFOs, right here I am. UFOs that have shown the ability to seamlessly transition from air to sea without a splash or crash debris are an urgent national security concern with world-changing scientific ramifications. That's a heck of a statement. And of course, the headline there is underwater UFOs display capability that jeopardize U.S. maritime security. Well, heck yeah. Look, if these guys wanted to do something, they could blow anything out of the water and out of the sky, but they don't. They don't. It's this cat and mouse game, which has been going on literally for millennia. Let's go up to here. Spy balloons, drones, and advanced UAP pose a clear and present danger. Bum, bum, bum. Unidentified objects in defended airspace represent a domain awareness gap. This gap poses a clear and present danger to pilots and our soldiers that is more acute than ever. So it's all about the threat. That's how they're, and I get it. I mean, when you have unidentified aircraft over airports, over military installations, buzzing our fighter jets, moving away, Commander David Fravor, first rung on the ladder of disclosure, shameless plug. If you haven't read the book, what the heck are you waiting for? But here's the bottom line. It's Commander David Fravor. This craft is here. I'll just use one of my props. And Commander David Fravor is looking at this thing, and this thing shoots away 50 miles in 2 seconds, 3 seconds. How's that possible? If you were an occupant in this craft, you'd be crushed. But, got this from Bob Lazar, as the craft is moving, it's a gravity wave. It's bending space and time as we know it. There are no G-forces. But I digress as usual. Oh, and wait. I've got my but I digress cup right here. So I'm going to take a swig. And let's continue. Whereas the Chinese spy balloon was visible to civilians from the grounds, the 3 other objects shot down by American fighters over Alaska, Canada, and Michigan the following weekend were only detected after North American Aerospace Defense Command removed Cold War-era filters from its radar. Previously, filters excluded anything too small, too high, too slow, too fast to be a Soviet bomber or ballistic missile. This is not the first time that upgrades to our sensor capabilities revealed unidentified phenomena in our skies. In 2014, when I served in the U.S. Navy, my F-18 squadron and I were operating a military training range off the coast of Virginia and began witnessing unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs, on radar and infrared after a generational upgrade to our systems. My squadron then started seeing them with their own eyes, including a dramatic near miss. The shootdowns last February marked the first time in the 50-year history of NORAD that fighters destroyed objects in our airspace. So, this is what's going on. Now get this, go up here. Western U.S. residents report the most UFO sightings. What are they actually seeing? Those of us in the Western U.S., that's us in the Santa Monica Mountains, who enjoy vast open spaces, may also be more likely to report UFO sightings. A new study suggests an analysis of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, reports UAP is a new umbrella term that includes UFOs, not just in the sky, but also in space and underwater. Okay, fine. This suggests local government factors play a role in the number of UAP sightings reported. The study, based on about 98,000 reports over 20 years, is cataloged in an open source online, and it continues from there. Let me skip down. Modeled how reported UAP sightings coincide with environmental variables such as light pollution, cloud cover, as well as things like proximity to airports, military installations. The results reveal the majority of reported sightings originate in the western U.S., along with smaller hotspots in the northeast U.S. Section 2, Law Enforcement Considerations. The potentially ubiquitous presence of UAP defines the national security implications and drives the broad range of stakeholders and demands for rigorous scientific understanding of and intelligence on the phenomena. Understanding of and intelligence on phenomena. Let me go down here. So I'm just going to read some of the headlines. Unknown threat to public safety, aviation safety, UAP related calls for service. So this is all sort of textbook. They're saying that the phenomenon is real, nothing to be concerned of, but it is a national security threat. We don't know what they are. Are they friendly? Are they foe? We have no idea. U.S. government UAP programs. This, of course, will get into AARO. Since 1945, the United States government has funded and supported UAP investigations with the goal of determining whether UAP represented a flight safety risk, technological leaps by competitor nations, or evidence of off-world technology under intelligent control. How many times do we have to have whistleblowers come up to us, like Commander David Fravor, which is the first rung on the ladder of disclosure book, and say that, my gosh, what are we looking at here? How many times do we need to see this? I'm going to push in here, John. I'm going to do a jump cut here and push in. And that's the Convergaz UFO right there. The late Dr. Roger Lear shot that way, way back when. Okay? There it is right there. That's the best UFO footage I've ever seen in my life. It goes on for hours. We show this in our 10-part DVD series, UFO Disclosure. Look at that. You can see the two beings that are right here. I'm not making this stuff up. How many reports like this do we need? I mean, and I love some of these yahoos on YouTube. Oh, this whole thing is a fake, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. Richard Shaw, my late business partner, got the original footage from Dr. Roger Lear. Do you get that? The original footage from Dr. Roger Lear. And he scrolled through it frame by frame by frame. Not only do you see those two entities in the craft, but there seems to be a third entity which is moving at hypersonic speed, coming in and out of the frame. And we show this in our Watchers film. Look, I'm not making this stuff up. So let's continue. These investigations were managed and implemented by a range of experts, scientists, academics, military intelligence officials under differing leaders, all of whom had held their own perspectives that led them to particular conclusions on the origins of UAP. However, they all had in common the belief that UAP represented an unknown and therefore theoretically posed a potential threat of an indeterminate nature. So that's from AARO. So, Project Saucer, 1946 to 47, collected and evaluated all information related to UFO sightings. Roswell, the incident, the infamous 1947 incident in Roswell, New Mexico. The infamous 1947 incident in Roswell, New Mexico, involving a crashed object. So here we have, right here, that's a piece of the metal. I'm going to push in, John. I'm going to push in. Okay, hold on, John. So let me get something here. I'll do this. So there's the metal right there, and we actually show this in our Roswell film. There it is, and our two films on Roswell. There's the metal. Frank Kimmler and Chuck Sikowski are out there with metal detectors. I want to thank both of these men for being friends of what we do, and I consider Chuck a good friend, and same thing with Frank. But Frank had a hit on his metal detector, and it's in the film. According to Chuck, we are the only film company on the planet that's ever actually shown a piece of the metal being taken out of a debris field. So there you go. So we're out there with Chuck Sikowski, Frank Kimmler, and Frank gets a hit on his metal detector. And it's all on film. According to Chuck Sikowski, we are the only film company that's ever actually shown a piece of the metal coming up from out of a debris field. It was buried about 3, 2, 1. According to Chuck Sikowski, we are the only film company that's ever actually shown a piece of the metal from the Roswell crash being dug up and taken out of the ground. It was buried about 6 to 8 inches below the surface. In other words, as the craft came down, it blew apart, and that metal was like a bullet out of a gun. And so we've had it tested. It's an unknown aluminum alloy. It's right between two known aluminum alloys, but it doesn't, and more testing needs to be done. It's also folded in on itself, which is in itself very, very strange. So this gives us the different government agencies that were created to look at the UAP UFO phenomenon. So if there's nothing to see, if it's all smodcast, then why spend taxpayer money on all this stuff? So you've got the Roswell incident, Project Twinkle here, Project Blue Book, the Brookings Report, the CI evaluation, Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Application Program, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, and then finally we get here AARO. Where's ATIP? Right there. They don't really have ATIP here. There it is right there. Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Application Program, or Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. This is where Lou Elizondo comes into play, because he headed up ATIP. And look, he's a whistleblower. He comes on the record and says that the phenomenon is absolutely real. So this is great. This is the Roswell. RAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell. This is the Project Blue Book right here. And over here, we've got the USS Gimbal that was reported. It's been shown all over all sorts of different media, all media platforms. And so if there's nothing to see here, let me scroll back to the top. Then why is this a reference guide? Why even publish this? If it's all smoke and mirrors, if it's all squad gas, then why even have this thing, right? But it's there. And your police in your town know about all of this. They know about this. And we know about ATIP. Thank you, Lou Elizondo, who, by the way, is a whistleblower, along with the other whistleblowers who have come forward. And here we go, Section 4, Mr. Segue. Whistleblowers. The bottom line is, why are we allowing objects in our sky, particularly objects displaying advanced technology, to go unidentified? I believe we should pursue these questions about the nature of UAP with a scientific method and an open mind. And look, I agree, but this whole thing has been closed up. How many, in our films on Roswell, we've got deathbed confessions, several of them, where people handle the wreckage, they looked at it, they saw the bodies. How many times do we have to report this? Where is the transparency? There is none, essentially, right? There really is none. We know something is going on. You've got whistleblowers in Congress. And right here, in the center here, that's Commander David Fravor. Right here, I said the center, to the right, that's Commander David Fravor. That's David Grush, right there. That's Ryan Graves. Ryan Graves is the quote I just read you. So David Grush, this guy is a stand-up guy, basically risking everything, saying that we now have recovered bodies from the crash craft. This is an incredible document that I am looking at here. Lots of links and all sorts of stuff. And Lou Elizondo, a career counterintelligence specialist who was assigned in 2008 to work for a Pentagon program that investigated reports of unmanned aerial phenomena, filed the 64-page complaint, or filed the 64-page complaint to the independent watchdog on May 3rd, and has met several times with investigators. Mr. Elizondo is a stand-up guy. I'm trying to get him on our show. He knows. Just like David Grush right here. David Grush knows. Just like Ryan Graves. They know. They've either looked at the records, seen the bodies, talked to too many witnesses. They know what's going on. So let's continue. The American public has a right to learn about technologies of unknown origins, non-human intelligence, and unexplainable phenomena. Well, bully for Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, there is a deep state, folks. That's not conspiracy theory. And Congress, they can talk about it till the cows come home. They've never shown us the Roswell film. And believe me, there was film taken of the crashed bodies, of the craft that was crashed, of the bodies that were recovered, guaranteed. They've got it. They need to start there. They need to reveal it. Will it ever happen? I don't know. Congress has been doing the back and forth now for months, and nothing really happens. Nothing happens at all. So I love Representative Burkett launches UAP caucus, leaves letter to Intelligence Community Inspector General about UAP retrieval program. And this, of course, is, let me just read this. U.S. Congressman Tim Burkett from Tennessee recently launched the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Caucus and led 5 of his colleagues on the caucus in a letter to the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community, Thomas A. Monheim. The members asked for follow-up information regarding David Grush's testimony in the recent hearings on unidentified aerial phenomena. Representative Burkett and his colleagues requested information from the Intelligence Community Inspector General regarding which people and facilities are involved with UAP crash retrieval programs and reverse engineering. Look, folks, Bob Lazar came on the record decades ago stating that he was involved in back engineering the propulsion system, that's right, which made these babies fly. He's never changed his story. I met Lazar, I think, in 1994, maybe 95, somewhere in that window of time, at the Little Alien in Rachel, Nevada. I got to speak to him. This is before I had a blog or written a book or anything. I was just very interested in the phenomena. I hadn't even called it the coming great deception, but this is the coming great deception. This completely changes everything. So once again, if you're a police officer and you're looking at this, you are getting armed, because if you actually do the work, we don't have time to totally get into this, as I stated, but you're going to walk away after reading this report. You're going to know something. You're not ignorant. You're not arrogant. You know that the phenomenon is real, that people report these things. And here we've got AARO. Let me go down a little bit. And this, of course, is international UAP reporting. Look, it's a global phenomenon. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about this. So this is, if you see something, you can report it to NUFORIC, you can report it to NORAD, MUFON, of course. They have been in place for a long time, and many people report sightings from them. The bottom line, and let's go right down to the bottom line here, key takeaways. Former U.S. naval pilot Ryan Graves says unidentified objects in defended airspace represent a domain awareness gap. The gap poses a clear and present danger to pilots and our soldiers that is more acute than ever. So it's all about the threat. All right, let's continue from there. UAP can have a significant impact on law enforcement operations and safety due to the following: unknown threat to public safety, UAP-related calls for service, aviation safety. Currently, there is no official local law enforcement UAP reporting mechanisms. Since 1945, the United States government has funded and supported UAP investigation with the goal of determining whether UAP represent a flight safety risk. Technological leaps by computer nations, not computer, competitor. Let me do it again. 3, 2, 1. Technological leaps by competitor nations are evidence of off-world technology under intelligent control. So what are we looking at? Are these the Russians? Are these the Chicoms? Who's making these? North Korea is making these things? I doubt it. These are off-world vehicles, but they are not from some other star system. They are, in fact, interdimensional entities. This is the coming great deception, and I will close this show by talking about it once again. A former military intelligence officer turned whistleblower told House lawmakers that Congress is being kept in the dark about the UAP phenomena, alleging at a hearing that executive branch agencies have withheld information about the mysterious object for years. Look, they know this stuff is real. They're back engineering it. Let's continue. New legislation proposed by bipartisan lawmakers aims to protect civilian pilots and air personnel who report sightings. So if you've got a sighting, you're not called a conspiracy theorist anymore. If you're in the Government, like Lou Elizondo or David Grush or Mr. Ryan or others, and you come forward, you're going to be protected. But how can they protect you? I was threatened for the Kandahar Giant report that I did. Why would they dispatch a guy down to Dallas and threaten me? 3 different ways. Oh, and they come and arrest you, L.A., they'll find Kitty phone. Oh, guess what? Does your car have a computer? Yes, sir, it does. Well, they can manipulate the computer so you'll have a fiery crash. Where have you heard this before? 3, do you have any children? I have 2. One of them can go missing and never be found again. I'm told this by this guy in the first 5 minutes of the meeting. I had an armed guard next to me because I didn't know what to expect. Hear the whole conversation. And I look at him, and you've heard me say this before. Why do I keep bringing this up? Because I was threatened. And I bring it up because if something happens to me, first of all, you know that I did not commit suicide. Second of all, you need to look into it. But I'm not a threat anymore. Why? Because it's all out of the bag. I'm just one guy on YouTube. They could care less. The Kandahar Giant is all over YouTube. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. 10 DVDs on the whole UFO phenomena. 10 DVDs. We're the only Christian ministry. Oh, well, you got to stop saying that. No, I'm going to keep saying that. Why? Because it's true. We're the only Christian ministry that has this. We talk about close encounters of the first, second, third, and fourth kind, crop circles, alien abductions. 4 people, 2 men, 2 women. They've all been taken since childhood. Am I making this up? Cattle mutilations, crop circles, 2 films on Roswell. Finally, what is the truth? We sit down with Nick Pope, George Norrie, and others, Gary Stearman, Rambo Gonzalez, and others, who come on the record talking about the whole UFO phenomena. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution AARO was established by the U.S. DoD in July 2022. Its mission is to synchronize efforts across various federal departments and agencies aiming to detect, identify, and attribute UAP near military installations, training areas. I mean, this to me, let's create another task force. None of these people know anything about UAPs for the most part, and I get it, I'm painting with a very broad brush, but, to our best of our ability, there's nothing to see here, keep moving. I mean, seriously, guys, you can't fool us anymore. This stuff is there. It's real. I've seen 4 of them. Okay. That's basically it. The rest is history. Folks, if you want to watch the rest, you need members only. I'm going to give a quick account of my 4 different UFO sightings. I would encourage you to hit the join button and become a member so you can watch this, information that's not for the general public. Look, we got to put it behind a paywall. I deserve a paycheck, and I think you know that I deserve a paycheck. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon with another episode. Remember, UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away.